Well, I only restored vintage English motorcycles, Triumphs, Nortons, and BSAs, and where I do have an aerial that's in the works.
It was a TT special, they called them, and it was a special Bonneville. Bonnevilles were the fast ones, but the TTs were special. They were racing machines, and you could get them at that time. So I started saving my money, and eventually I got one.
You have to have the vision. You have to be able to appreciate what the potential that a particular piece has, and understand some of the difficulty of the transformation to get it from where it is now to where you want it to be.
Good evening, everybody. Hey. Who's this stranger? Okay, some of you know me, some of you don't. Hey, Neal, that's me. That's not Neal. To you guys, I'm Nelly. Deal with it. Alright, so yeah, if you don't know me, I'm Nelly. I'm the middle school youth minister here, and so I'm not usually in this hour, and you'll obviously recognise that I'm not from this place. I'm from Northern Ireland, and that is its own country, by the way, because you Americans are very, what's the word? No, not arrogant. Ignorant, and don't know that there's two countries. So there's Republic of Ireland and there's Northern Ireland. But anyway, that's not a big deal. I'm going to try and, if you struggle, there's an accent, I am not going to change it, deal with it. I'll try and be slow. I was telling the middle schoolers that whenever I came here, I was a Harry hater. Does anyone want to interpret what a Harry hater is? Someone who hates Harry Potter. I was one of those people whenever I arrived. I know, I'm sorry. A lot of people, I actually couldn't get over just how disgusted people were with me. Like I just slapped their grandmother in the face because they were just like, what? You don't like Harry Potter? People weren't friends with me. So I had to deal with it, and something epic happened this weekend. If anyone follows me on Twitter, all 19 and a half hours of Harry Potter watched in 29 hours. Isn't that pretty impressive? I think so. Thank you. The middle schoolers were so excited that I had watched Harry Potter in a weekend. Tonight we're still looking at the me that I want to be, and looking at what God's best version of me is. And in the video you heard them talk about they have to have a vision. You have to engage your mind. If you're putting together a motorcycle, that it doesn't just happen, you've got to have a vision and engage your mind in what's going on. And as I watched Harry Potter yesterday morning, I saw a scene and I was like, that's a really good illustration. So I changed my talk around to suit you Harry Potter fans, and we're going to watch a scene from Harry Potter. So, I know. Right? Who needs the Bible? We'll just watch Harry Potter. I don't mean that at all. So Harry Potter knows he's the chosen one. He's going to fight the Dark Lord, he who shall not be named. I made the mistake of naming him twice and bringing a curse upon us all in the first hour. So he's fighting he who shall not be named, and he knows that he is the chosen one. So he knows that he's there. He knows that he's got the ability to. But in this scene, he finds out from Professor Snape what his weakness is. So let's find out what Harry Potter's weakness is.
Feeling sentimental.
That's private.
Not to me. And not to the Dark Lord if you don't improve. Every memory he has access to is a weapon he can use against you. You won't last 2 seconds if he invades your mind. You're just like your father. Lazy. Arrogant.
Don't say a word against my father.
Weak.
I'm not weak.
Then prove it. Control your emotions. Discipline your mind. The gentleman.
Serious.
I may vomit.
Stop it.
Is this what you call control?
We've been at it for hours. If I could just rest.
The Dark Lord isn't resting.
Alright, there's your Harry Potter fix for the night. Okay, so Harry Potter knows who he is, and he knows his goal, he knows his role, and he knows that he's able. But the one thing that Professor Snape, well, I don't want to spoil it, they point out to him is that if he can't control his mind, if he can't control his emotions, then he is weak and vulnerable to attack from the Dark Lord. And so it doesn't matter about anything else. If he can't control his mind, then he's going to lose this war. And it made me think, that's so true for me. And I've got a story. Whenever I was in high school, you don't get study leave, like time off school to study for exams. We do. We get lots of time off school. Don't have to rub it in. But we got time off, and I didn't use it because I was a waster, and so I spent it watching. Please tell me you've heard of the OC. Yeah. All right, good times, because the middle schoolers hadn't heard of the OC. The OC. I mean, I had a box set, and so during study leave, I just watched episode after episode, hour after hour, watching the OC, to the point where I was emotionally involved, and it was dangerous. I thought about this afterwards. I was like, my mind was in the show. I mean, I didn't care about study, I didn't care about anything else, just the show. And then things happened, I was torn apart. My mind was so set on the OC and what was happening in it that I'd set my mind on it, and it had really just, it changed me. It was weird. So yeah, and it made me think just about, we need to be careful about our minds, and our minds dictate what we focus on. It dictates how we behave. It dictates the way we live our lives. And so if we want to become the best version of ourselves, if we want to understand who God says we are, then we really have to take our minds seriously and what we're thinking about. And so what do we spend our time spending with our minds on? A little insight into my world. This is just vulnerable, but one of them is I play soccer, and since I was a boy, I go into the back garden with no one else, just me, but there's a game going on, there's lots of people, there's a crowd, score the goal, yes! Everything's happening around me. I'm emotionally invested in the game, so I daydream a lot about playing soccer. The other thing is that it didn't mind sending this to middle schoolers, but sometimes you just imagine that the girl that you love is in distress and you need to rescue her, and so she is stuck and she needs Nellie to come and get her. I mean, that's noble, right? So I mean, honestly, that's what happens sometimes. My mind is just, that's where my mind is, and so I'm dreaming about rescuing Hermione. Schoolwork, sometimes I think about schoolwork at the last minute whenever I need to. Food, my mind is invested in food and what I'm going to eat next. And then Chick-fil-A is just awesome. It made me think about, in my mind, these are honestly the things I think about. I was like, okay, where does God fit into where I spend my time and where I spend my mind thinking of? Because I know that, and we know, you know, that you should think about God. Okay, you're here, that's what we tell you week in, week out, we're telling you about God. I know that I should spend my mind thinking about God. I should be engaging my mind with God. But do I really want to do that? And the question that I asked tonight is, the easy answer is yes, but do you really like God? Like, it's easy to say yes to that. We know we should like God, but do we really like Him? Because for me, it's the difference between should and want. And should is duty. It's I should do this, I should pray, I should spend time with God. This is the things that I'm expected to do. And then there's one thing to do it. There's desiring to give ourselves to God and to be engaged with God. There's a beautiful, brilliant story in Genesis 29. Jacob goes to work for Laban, and Laban has a beautiful daughter called Rachel, and Jacob falls in love with Rachel. And the first part of the story is weird because he falls in love with Rachel, he makes out with her, and then he starts crying, and that's just weird. It's just awkward. If I imagine that scene that he starts crying. Okay, why is he crying? That's weird. So that's a bit of a strange part of the story. But the next part is really beautiful because Laban says to Jacob, what payment do you want? You're working for me? What wages do you want? And he says, I will work 7 years for your daughter to marry me. And this is what it says. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. boys, come on, this is romance. You gotta use it for the girls. It's important. Don't weep when you're in any kissing situation, but definitely be romantic. Very important. So, I mean, that's desire. That's love. That's warmth. That's desire for someone. And you know, I say, and we all, I mean, lots of us will say we love Jesus. You know, Jesus is, you know, we love him. We'll sing songs about we love Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Do we, like, is that the kind of desire that I feel for God? Is that the kind of attitude that I have towards him? Because the answer is probably not. There is a difference between should and want, between duty and desire. And spiritual growth is not about knowing what we should do. It's not about knowing the things, but it's about turning that, what I know I should do, and learning to love that. Learning to desire to spend time with God. Learning to desire his presence. And for me, that's just what the difference is in spiritual growth, is knowing, going from should do this to wanting to do this and desiring it. Let's read this verse together. It's Colossians 3:2. Let's read it. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. Well done, Emily. So, I mean, the question maybe you have for me, well, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to abandon all the things we do and just read the Bible all day and pray all day and think about God and think about nothing else? And of course, that's not what I propose or ask or suggest. But if we want to discover who we really are, and we really seriously want to discover who God made us to be, then we've got to take seriously our minds and what we think about. You're given desire to play sport, you're given desire to have friends, to play music, all those things, and it's all really good. Those are God-given desires for you to enjoy and to worship him with. Where it comes undone is whenever we replace, we stop focusing on God and we focus on the desire. And the example I have for this is that I play soccer, and I used to get really aggressive. This isn't me, but this is just, you know, a representation of what I would do. I was aggressive, I lost my temper on the field, I took it really seriously. My mind was focused on the desire. But what I learned over time was that God had given me this, and it was to be enjoyed. I was to worship him with it, but I wasn't to move my mind from him to the desire, but I was to focus on what God gave me that gift for. So where we set our minds and our desires. Desires are good things, but where they push God out, that's where they become dangerous things. And so for me, playing soccer, I had to, like Harry Potter, control my mind and control my emotions. Learn, as Colossians says, to set my mind on God, not on earthly things. Cats and dogs think really differently. This is what a dog's diary might go like. 8 a.m, dog food, my favourite thing. 9:30 a.m, a car ride, my favourite thing. 9:40, a walk in the park, my favourite thing. 10:30 a.m, I got scratched and petted, my favourite thing. Noon, lunch, my favourite thing. 1 p.m, played in the yard, my favourite thing. 3 p.m, doggy treats, my favourite thing. 7 p.m, whoa, watch TV with the parents, my favourite thing. 11 p.m, sleeping on the bed, my favourite thing. The cat's diary, day 983 of my captivity. My captors keep ridiculing me with bizarre little dangling objects. The only thing that keeps me going is my dream of escape. The way that we think, it determines how we live. It determines the outlook we have, where we set our minds. There's some people who set their mind on negative things, and they've been told negative things, that they're fat, they're ugly, they're unpopular, they're not good at sport, whatever, and they can end up starting to believe these negative things to the point where they say, I really am worthless, and no one likes me, and why? What's the point of me? Other people know that they're the best in their team. They know that they're popular. They know that they're good looking, and that's where their mind is set on how good they are. But both of these groups of people, the people who think really negatively and the people who think much too highly, need to do this, need to set their minds not on things of the earth, not of what the earth values, but to set our minds above and on God. So, how do we do it? How do you do that? There is no replacement for quiet times, for call it what you may, but to spend time with God. If you want to set your mind on God, spend time with God. Read your Bible, pray, worship, take whatever it takes to get time with God. There's no replacing that in your life. But other ways that you can be more imaginative about it is how can you remind yourself each day to set your mind on God. Some people write memory verses, some people keep things in their car or their wallet, whatever it is. How can you remind yourself as you engage in sport, as you go about your school, as you start your day, how can you remind yourself to set your mind on things above, not on earthly things? We've got something to help you do that, and the leader's going to pass around some buckets. We have a sticker for you. Exciting sticker. Stickers are fun, right? What we want you to do with this sticker, it's being passed around, we want you to put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Preferably your mirror. We all look in the mirror. I do. Put it where you're going to see it every day. That will remind you to set your mind on things above. That question again, do you really like God? Do we really desire Him? And if so, we got to set our minds to Him and on Him in our each and every day. That is your choice. Let me pray. I'll let the buckets go around. We're finishing up. We're off time. So keep the buckets going out, and I'll pray as we close. God, I pray that we would know, as we sung earlier, that you would sweep us away in your love, and that as we experience your love, that we would desire to give ourselves to you, to set our minds on you, that we wouldn't see it as duty. Help us to grow in our love for you. Lord, for these stickers, we pray that you would use them to remind us every day to set our minds on you. So Lord, pray for these small groups as they go and discuss and share and pray together. We pray you bless them. And we love you, Lord. And all the people said? Amen. Amen indeed.